Why advocacy matters for your business and your clients. Advocacy is crucial for Florida residential property management companies to protect investments, prevent detrimental, non-operator-friendly policies in Tallahassee, and ensure the economic viability of the rental market. It protects property rights from overregulation and secures policies that don't drive up rent prices or reduce the available supply of housing. Engaging in advocacy also helps property managers better fulfill their fiduciary responsibilities for the clients that we all manage for. Engaging in advocacy can help defeat harmful local and state regulations that undermine our clients' property rights and our ability to operate our businesses as we see fit. I don't know about y'all, but anytime I get one of these, what I call an unfunded government mandate, which is just another requirement and somebody else is not going to pay for it, the cost is dropped down on us, I don't like it. Engaging in advocacy can help ensure that laws don't overreach, allowing owners to maintain, develop, and manage their real estate assets, which protects the long-term value of rental properties. As an example of the opposite of this, have any of y'all heard about what goes on in places like New York City? They have first of all, New York City has rent control, which is universally horrible. But in conjunction with rent control, New York City has these unbelievably onerous regulations for maintenance of rental properties in the city. And they coupled that with, even if a tenant voluntarily moves out, because of rent control rules, you still can't raise the rent to come back up to current market rent. And so what's happening in New York City is hundreds, if not thousands, of landlords are electing to leave their properties sitting vacant and basically crumbling away to rubble in the street, because without an increase in rent to bring it up to market rent prices in the prevailing area, they can't afford to do any of the renovations that the city is requiring. So that's the last thing we want here. Engaging in advocacy can help promote a stable pro-business environment that encourages more investment in the Florida real estate market, thereby increasing the available supply of housing and keeping housing costs more stable. Engaging in advocacy can influence legislative policy with industry experts. Property managers, particularly those who are NARPM members, have a unique on-the-ground insight and experience that policymakers often lack. Advocacy brings this knowledge to the forefront to create practical laws and prevent bad legislation from becoming law. I'll give you an example of a direct experience I had with that. Any of you remember there's been a bill that's been brought forward a number of times, the reusable tenant screening report bill. Thankfully, that has not passed into law. But 2 years ago, when we were up in Tallahassee for Day on the Hill, Stacy and I forget who all was in our group, but we met with the legislative aide for one of the legislators who was considering voting on this bill. And in the course of our conversation with this legislative aide, he started off very much in favor of this reusable tenant screening report proposed legislation. And his reasoning behind that was because as a legislative aide, he had to spend a lot of time in Tallahassee, and so he had to rent an apartment up there. And he had family, and so they were trying to, work through the application process. And he said, it's incredibly expensive. An application fee for me, an application fee for my wife. Having this reusable tenant screening report would be really, really good. And we had to explain to him, because he thought, oh, it's just a big money-making venture for property management firms. And we explained to him that it really doesn't make us any money at all. There's a hard cost of doing business when it comes to processing applications. We have become effectively, particularly in this environment that we're in now, but we have effectively almost become private investigators because there's so much potential fraud out there, and so you have to get to the bottom of that. That takes time, that takes manpower, that takes hard cost getting credit reports, eviction reports, bankruptcy reports, criminal background checks. And when we explained all of that to him, it was like the light bulb went on, and he said, wow, I had never ever thought about it that way before. And so through the course of our conversation with this guy, he did a complete 180 on his position about this proposed legislation. So when I say we want to be presented and set up as the experts, that is the type of thing that I'm talking about here.